late night cage fight.
Someone's going to steal the Declaration of Independence. Steal the Declaration of Independence.
The treasure of the Knights Templar is the treasure of all treasures.
Oh, I didn't know that. Really?
My husband's probably.
Oh man, that's deep. That's That's kind of sad.
So, we just watched another Nicolas Cage movie, because that's what we do.
That's right.
We just watched Racing with the Moon from Paramount Pictures. It was released in 1984, also known as the year of, oh God, they're watching me.
1984.
It was written by Steve Kloves, who would go on to write the scripts for the Harry Potter movies. Interesting. And it was directed by Richard Benjamin. I love that name. It sounds so refined. I met him at a yacht party one time, and he got upset when I called him Dick Binge. Hey, Kevin, if I say Dick Binge, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I don't know. Exhaustion.
So Richard Benjamin, who's also apparently a successful TV actor, appearing in literally nothing I've seen before, except for the original Westworld movie. And Children's Hospital with Rob Corddry. Did you guys ever see that show on Adult Swim?
No.
No, it's really
no.
dark. It's a black comedy, I guess. It was pretty funny. But if we're talking about Racing with the Moon, I'm going to say this. Took me by surprise. It really did. It's a period drama set in the winter of 1942, 1943 in what's called Point Muir, California. It's a fictional town, I believe. And it's also Christmas time, which is so fitting. Right, Stevie?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and the story follows Henry Hopper Nash, played by Sean Penn, who's a young man in this movie, 17 years old, I believe, and he's dreading the future that waits for him and many young men at that time who have been called to fight in the war. Sean Penn to me looks like Kevin's face on My Body. Which is funny since Nick Cage looks like Steve's face on Kevin's body.
That's actually accurate.
So it all works out. Praise be to Cage for that. Given the setting of the movie, I think it's obvious that our discussion tonight, it's going to broach some pretty heavy, sensitive topics. Yeah. So I just want to share my initial reaction because I just finished the movie a couple hours ago. I think, Kevin, you literally just finished it.
Yeah.
There were moments that got to me in this one. It's sentimental in a way that's different from Rumblefish. It's a movie that I think a lot of fellow Americans would benefit from watching because it's very straightforward in expressing what it means to grow up and fall in love in a time of war, in a time of uncertainty. It's heavy, man. And some of the performances in the movie, yes, our St. Nicholas included, kind of touched me.
So I want to insert one thing.
Insert.
Quick.
I love when...
I was going to wait until the end, actually, but you mentioned the disclaimer of kind of hitting some heavy topics.
Tabby?
So on that note, some heavy topics about this movie.
I thought you mixed taboo with heavy. Tabby.
Well, yes. So on that note, a little trivia on this movie. It was originally rated R. But they went back afterward due to some of the language and nudity and some of those heavier topics until they went back and contested it for a rating of PG, just like most Pixar movies.
Okay, so they didn't make any changes to the film.
No. They just contested the rating, and they were like, hey, all right, fine, whatever, PG.
Oh, man, I love when they do that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
especially
so don't be fooled by the rating because it was a different time.
It was a different time. Mm-hmm. That's right. What did you guys think about the movie? Just in general, your initial thoughts.
I thought I really enjoyed the movie a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, just overall, if you were to ask me about the movie, I would say, like to compare it to well, I don't even want to compare it to any of the other ones, but just to say, yeah, I feel like this was a very well directed movie and everything. I think it was a pretty good movie.
I agree.
For sure.
What do you think, Steve?
I mean, I think it came in from a much different direction than the first two movies we've watched.
Yes.
But overall, I did enjoy it. There were points here and there that I questioned a little bit, but
Okay.
for the most part, I really liked it.
Gosh, we're always agreeing on things. It's starting to get old. I hope I hope eventually we start to fight. You know, we got to have a cage battle here soon, right?
I mean, I do have a couple points.
Good.
Specific later on, but
Well, I want
as
you
a
to-
general theme, it was a good film. It wasn't garbage.
I want you to insert those points hard and aggressively into the conversation.
I'm pretty good at inserting things hard and aggressively, so.
So, tonight, I'm starting something new that I want to continue. I call it the Nick list. Essentially, it's a list of things that Nick does in each movie. All right, so now without further ado, and when I say it, I want there to be like an explosion, like
Tonight's Nick list.
so maybe in post I'll add that. So in Nicolas Cage's,
I think you should do it in voice.
Oh, I should. Yeah, I mean it just sounds more natural, right? In Nicolas Cage's 1984 feature film Racing with the Moon, Nicolas Cageless does the following. Nick Cage works with Sean Penn at a bowling alley as a pin setter and drinks on the job. A pin setter is someone who sets the bowling pins up so they can get knocked back down, just like me in job interviews. Nick Cage states that since the only thing they're going to be doing soon is killing Germans and Japaneses, he's going to get as much tail as he can. And we know from Valley Girl, no one tells him who to score with.
He's gonna tell me who I can score with.
Nick Cage bitches about the music at a restaurant because it reminds him of his aunt. And so many of his lines there just had to be ad-libbed. Nick Cage gets drunk and says, "Oh, wowie." He then does this stupid tap dance and says before he started drinking that he wasn't able to do that. Drunk Nick Cage tries to force a tattoo artist to tattoo an eagle on his chest. You know, because America? Why didn't he just shave it again? Nick Cage knocks up Sally, his girlfriend, and then does whatever he can to get her to have an abortion. I mean, whatever it takes. Including trying to scam a bunch of sailors out of cash in an epic pool game, and then driving his girlfriend, while drinking, to a back alley abortion clinic that looks like the set of Trailer Park Boys.
No. That was a clean abortion.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It was a clean one.
Clean abortion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because all clean abortions take place in a trailer in the middle of the woods.
Nick Cage is acting in a war drill where he's supposed to be injured on a stretcher, and while he's being carried away, he just randomly grabs at girls' asses while going, "Oh, oh, oh, oh." Oh, and that ends the list. Now,
You forgot about one really good one.
let's hear it. Tell
In
me.
the very beginning, whenever he punches when they get in the fight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
He honks the one girl. What is it? The Gatsby boy, his girlfriend.
Oh, Gretchen. Is that Gretchen?
Who's covered in blood or whatever. After he gets punched in the face, he just goes over and he's like wiping the blood off for sure. Then he just grabs her tit.
Yeah.
Mind you, that was at the direction of the director. The director told him to do that.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Well, I'm sure he didn't have any problem with that.
No, I had to rewind it a couple times. Did he just grab her tit? Yeah, he did.
How did I miss that, guys? I think it was so
I don't know.
traumatizing.
That was a good point.
It was
Yeah.
quick. It was quick. It wasn't.
No, I mean, it was literally like he was just sitting there like wiping it off, and then like as the camera starts to go away, he's just like honk.
Honk.
Yeah. It was funny. It made me laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think after they cut, she was like, "Nick, what was that?" And he was like, "Oh, Peter Piper picked a peck. I didn't even know I did that."
Oh, well, Peter Piper picked a pepper. I guess I did. Oh, I'm sorry.
Now, what I like about this movie is Nick Cage does have a fair amount of screen time compared to Sean Penn's co-star, Elizabeth McGovern, who is great in this movie. I love this girl. I love her. I think she's fantastic in this. She has that timeless classic look, gorgeous, dreamy blue eyes, a great range in her acting abilities. Last thing I saw Elizabeth McGovern in was Downton Abbey, and she's awesome in that show. The whole cast is, really. It was awesome to see her in this movie. Yeah. Now, Sean Penn, we'll talk about Sean Penn. Do you guys like Sean Penn? Have you seen him in other movies?
Yeah, I have. He always seems to have that, like, don't fuck with me attitude, you know?
Yeah, I say he's mastered the poker face. He's always got that face.
Yeah, he's always got that same face. But
he never takes it off either.
I like him. I like him. He seems to do very well. But he always seems to do the same kind of bad boy, role.
Yeah, he's always kind of like the semi James Dean cool guy, who it seems like the kind of roles that Nick Cage was trying to do before.
Yeah,
and sometimes actually I kind of sense with Ryan Gosling, it's like he's channeling a younger Sean Penn sometimes. But I do think Sean Penn was a good choice for the film. The last movie I saw him in was called The Tree of Life by Terrence Malick. I doubt you guys have seen it. He was also in another movie by Terrence Malick. It's a war film, one of the best war films, I think, in my opinion, called The Thin Red Line. And he was also, Kevin, in a movie called Dead Man Walking. And he plays he's Mr. Spicoli in Fast Times at Ridgemont High with long bro hair. He talks like a bro. So he knows Nick. They definitely knew each other before this. Mm-hmm. So what happens in Racing with the Moon? And by the way, it's a full moon tonight, fellas. You know that?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God! There's so many ways that this movie just fits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It fits. It
yeah,
fits.
it's like we chose the right night for this.
Yeah, we did. No matter how Steve inserts it, it fits. The opening of the movie, it's all train tracks and crane shots. My God, crane shots in the movie? Already the budget is like twice that of Valley Girl, when they're using cranes. The kids are smashing coins on the train tracks, and it kind of feels like... Go ahead.
The whole opening seemed really kind of odd to me at first, like that, just the beginning, the very first couple minutes.
Okay.
It just... I could tell right off the get-go that this movie was going to be a lot more surreal than the last couple of films we'd watched.
I wouldn't say surreal. I definitely think Rumblefish.
I mean, that was kind of the feeling I had in the opening, though.
Oh, okay.
Is that it was just going to be just really out there, because even Rumblefish, like in the beginning, it felt like it was really. Now it ended up being much more surreal, but in the beginning, it really seemed like it was going to be just a straightforward gangster kind of movie.
Yeah.
That one kind of went off in a different direction. I assumed this one was going to be much more surreal, and it ended up being a little less than I expected.
I didn't really know what to expect. I watched some of the trailer, but you know how trailers can give stuff away, so I didn't watch it all. And I didn't really know what the tone was going to be, because also sometimes trailers are a little bit deceptive when it comes to tone. So with the opening, I don't know. I thought it was very interesting, and it drew me in. And I wanted to know, where the action was going to lead. It felt like... Have you seen the movie Stand By Me? It felt like a prequel to Stand By Me.
Yeah.
So, movie opens, and it felt really cozy. Yeah, that's what I wrote. It felt cozy with the forest and the bluffs and the classical music. just really nice until that asshole Sean Penn starts playing the boogie woogie on the piano and offends Mr. Arthur, his piano teacher, who runs out of the house all dismayed like Sean Penn just took a giant shit on the piano and started rubbing it in the keys. Remember that?
I liked how the score opened up. I was liking the Chopin lead in. And then, just like the sudden switch to like, I don't know what, like jazz kind of music? Or
yeah,
what?
boogie woogie. That's what they called it.
Yeah.
And then his mom starts beating the shit out of him with the kitchen towel.
Why can't you be a famous piano star like Stevie Wonder or Yoshiki?
You need to be a Valley Boy.
Yeah, from the get-go, it was just seemed like, this is typical Sean Penn. Pretty early on, but typical Sean Penn. I guess it started a long time ago. So, I it was interesting to see what it went into after that, because it actually, but yeah. So, as far as that goes, with the piano playing, that's funny because I guess the instructor was used to teaching little girls and stuff, and then all of a sudden he's got this bad boy that, oh my God, he can play like Jerry Lee Lewis,
right?
And he but then later you find out he's not really that good. He says, but I think he's better than he leads on.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I agree. Yeah. And his teacher's like, I can't teach someone like this. I can't do it. This is blasphemy.
No, because he's way too good.
Because he's way too good. Do you think that's what it is?
No,
he's intimidated.
And I don't know.
Sorry.
I guess it's just because he wanted to have control, and he lost control there for a second.
Right.
But anyway.
The beginning, that whole piano scene and everything that kind of transpired over the next few scenes really confused me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I'm really jumping ahead, but it wasn't too many scenes after that they're shit talking the rich kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, weren't you just taking private piano lessons from a guy that was caught up of, you need to stick to the classics. You can't have any fun while playing. Stick to the classics. And he has a piano in his home, and he's shit talking these rich kids like, man, you guys just don't get it. You gotta work hard. We're living in the slums out here.
That is a good point.
I thought he was a Valley Boy at the start.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I guess
that is a little out of place. But who knows? Maybe maybe that was like the one thing he could get, and that's what he chose. I don't know. But then I guess he shit on it in the end. But
yeah. But there's some important subtext from the get-go, especially in that scene where, let me see if I can explain it right and if you guys can understand me. Sean Penn, or Hop, his parents or especially his mom, you play this way, you do it this way. These are our expectations of you. You need to fit the mold. And by breaking that mold, it reminds them of the uncertainty that is the time. That is, you're going to be drafted. You're going to go to war and potentially be killed. Your life may be cut short. And so by creating this structure is a way for them to deny or ignore the reality of what's really happening. And I think we see this play out in a number of ways, in a number of scenes in the movie. Because Hop is especially living in a kind of denial, a denial of the future.
So you're saying in a way it's kind of like a metaphor for like, you just need to keep your head down and like...
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, I think that's there in that scene.
Yeah.
So we meet Nick Cage at the bowling alley, and his name's Nicky, and he just wants to get laid. Surprise! But
I feel like his characters in all three of the last movies have been fairly consistent.
Yeah.
Regardless of the changes of like the drastic changes of movies themselves, he has been pretty much the same character every time.
Yeah.
In a way, yeah, you're right. There's definitely some crossover there. So the girl he's trying to love tenderly requires a double date to go out. So Sean Penn has to bring another chick, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah. And by the way, did you guys like the cars in the movie? The old cars? You know, the old Oldsmobiles that look like P.T. Cruiser had sex with a Batmobile? You like those things?
So was that not like was that the car at the time? I was really confused throughout all of this because even though I read the description that it was in 1942, it was never really a very good mention as to what was going on or where the movie was in time. Just kind of had to figure it out from some of the subcontext, and that took
What do you
a while
mean?
into
You
the
didn't
film.
know? It took place in 1942, 43.
Right. We understood that because we read the description.
Oh.
Without that, there was no way to know it without picking up on subtle hints throughout.
Oh. Okay,
Yeah.
there wasn't any text or anything. I guess
No, there was no like clear indicator as to what the timeline was.
Yeah.
'Cause I knew it already from reading it, but I
Uh-huh.
had kind of like
Yeah.
I tried to forget everything going into the movie and going into
Right.
it like as fresh perspective as I could.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know when you hear that there's a war, it's very limited which war it's going to be, and then it's kind of fun. I find it fun trying to place where the events are, but I understand what you're saying. Like
Yeah,
trying
that's
to
what it threw me
pinpoint.
off because I even made a note like the very first time they were sitting outside and they started talking about like the Germans and the Japs and I was like, I just need to be killing Germans and Japs, and I was like, where is that coming from? Like
You're saying at the beginning of the movie there was no like subtitle or anything that said whatever 1942 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw something that said that.
I thought I
really?
did too.
There was at one
Okay,
point.
so then maybe I just missed it then.
Yeah.
I know it was 1942, and I don't even remember what else it said. It might have said where. Or
Yeah.
whatever.
No, I remember. It's when Nick Cage grabs that chick's tit and she goes, oh, "It's 1942." Yeah, that's where it was.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Man, I'm glad you remember that now that he grabbed.
That's what he was focused on. He was focused on her screaming it's 1942.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't notice the tit grab.
Yeah. No.
All right.
Says a lot about says a lot about
Exactly. Obviously, we need to get our minds out of the gutter and pay
Yeah,
more attention to
right,
her
right.
face. It's not 1942 anymore.
Right. Need to tell Nick Cage that.
Yeah. But he's going to war. They're both going to war. And I started to wonder if this movie was eventually going to go the Full Metal Jacket route or the Saving Private Ryan's all-you-can-eat buffet, now permanently closed in Marietta, Ohio. I didn't know, which way it was going to go. Did you guys get that joke?
No.
Saving Private Ryan's all-you-can-eat
Oh my
buffet.
God. Yeah, I got
Oh,
it.
God,
I don't
I'm
even
gonna-
know why I didn't get it, but I got it now.
Gosh, that's terrible. It's only like 8 people are going to get that.
That's true.
And
I
80
used
people
to-
are going to
yeah.
decide not to listen to this crap anymore. So eventually, Hop, Sean Penn, catches sight of Caddy. That's Elizabeth McGovern's character. She works at the movie theater, right? She's like doing Tai Chi at the ticket booth or something. Why did I write that down? But she also works at the library. Is that right?
Yeah, she seems to work at a lot of places.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Hop does some almost creepy things to get her attention, like following her to the bus and jumping on the back of it. But in the context of the film, it makes sense. And the time in which it's set, this stuff makes sense. Plus, she's a Gatsby girl. I mean, the dudes go crazy for Gatsby girls. Don't you go crazy
sorry.
for Gatsby girls?
There's one note I forgot to mention from trying to find the date. Right.
All right.
Nick says what Nick says to Hopper or whatever Hopper.
Yeah, Hop.
Yeah,
Hop. He says, "I need you to bring another girl. It needs to be a double date because you know what? It doesn't matter as long as it looks like a girl. It's fine."
Oh yeah, that line. Yeah.
Yeah. Just reminded me.
Oh, that's a good one. Also, there was the one character, Gretchen, who's talking about some hot dude, but she says something like, well, if he wasn't my cousin, I would totally go with him.
Yeah.
Did you catch that one?
Wasn't that Trump's cousin?
What?
President Trump, wasn't that his cousin?
Why do you
If it wasn't my cousin, I'd do him.
Why do you have to bring Trump into this?
I don't know,
God
because it just seemed appropriate. If it wasn't his daughter, he'd do her.
Oh, so Hop and Nicky, they think that Caddy's rich. They think she's rich because she's like living at Richie Rich's house, but it turns out she's not. Her mom's just a maid for the owners there. So let's see. Hop lies about his family. He says that his dad's a fisherman when his dad is really a grave digger, which is somewhat metaphorical and interesting. I really liked.
And a Dave Matthews song.
What? Which one? Which part of it?
Gravedigger. Never mind. Forget it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll have to play a clip from that. But I really liked his dad's character. I thought it was so interesting how he was written. But you also get the sense that Hop is kind of like a punching bag. He's like the butt of a lot of jokes. And it's so... you feel bad for him almost. But it's so well done in expressing that teenage anxiety of meeting girls, getting stuck with the wrong one, that feeling of reality really closing in on you. And then Nick Cage says something like, "Did you know the Nazis invented this thing that blows your dick off?" I like that part.
I thought it was funny at this stage of the movie. I mean, they've got the Gatsby girl. I mean, Valley girl. I mean,
yeah, whatever they are.
And of course, two city boys just looking to,
looking to what?
Looking to score. Looking to score.
That's right.
Score.
So my favorite scene, and this is serious, my favorite scene was when Hop takes Caddy to this old burned out bar. It's just a loft with an old piano in it. And he teaches her to play along with him.
Yeah, unbelievable.
It's a beautiful scene. Yeah.
Now that whole thing started with them having a conversation about going to see his dad's graveyard, right? And then the next thing you know, they're at his dad's secret clubhouse, which I'm pretty sure was the house that they used for the orgy in Rumblefish.
Yeah. That's right, man. Yeah. Yeah, but it was just a really great scene. The way it was shot, the acting, I liked the build-up, and when Caddy is leaving and you have the backdrop where you can see outside the ocean in the background and the music, and it's just a beautiful scene. Like, seriously, watch this movie, watch that scene. It's brilliant.
Now, but to go back to your point of like maybe this is part of the whole metaphorical thing, but all of the sudden in the middle of this scene, he's all about the Chopin. Before he couldn't be bothered with it. He wanted to get in his jazz and his fun stuff, but he's all about the classical because he wants to hit that rich girl.
Yeah, right. You're right. He has these preconceived ideas of how rich girls are and what they're into and what they're taught to like. Yeah, so you're right. Absolutely. Let's see. Oh, yeah, and then, of course, you have the scene where Hop shows her his special place. And it's that, what is it called? The clearing? Why do I say?
It's like it's a lake or something.
It's a lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a lake. I thought it had a name.
Yeah.
But, and that was very romantic. He gets her to get in with him, and they get naked, and...
Yeah, he's like, just take your clothes off. And she's like, her face just, I mean, okay, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Sure, I'll get naked in the middle of the winter and get in the freezing pond, which, mind you, this was actually shot in the winter, and it was freezing cold, they committed.
Did they?
Yeah.
I feel like it's a good time to talk about, so, what was her name? Elizabeth McGovern?
Elizabeth McGovern, yeah.
Yeah.
She was such a good actress in this movie.
Oh my God.
She goes
better than the girl from Valley Girl.
She goes from showing like how a girl can go from like just like playing a guy completely to and just seeming like he has no chance in the world.
Yeah.
And to going from that to somebody totally different that is just so vulnerable to this guy and just seems like a totally different person just because she opened up to him.
Yeah.
And it's just it it's incredible acting, I think,
I
and
agree.
and directing probably.
Right. And it makes sense because I think your instinct is to think, oh my God, you just met this guy and now you've already gotten to this level. But you have to remember that always in the shadow you have lurking this war. And you don't
I
know.
thought you were going to say Valley Girls or DTF.
Because Valley Girls are DTF and so are Gatsby Girls. Everyone knows that. But the war it means so much because no one knows how it's going to end. You have to remember that. No one knows where it's going, and parents are sending their sons to go fight and die, and you have this such an emotional compulsion that you just want to do everything. Like I want to experience every part of life. Because what happens next, I don't know. It could be the end for me.
That might be the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like there's an analog with the women too. At first, the women are like, well, I can't, or the girls, I can't connect with anybody. I don't want to connect because I don't know if they're gonna stay with me. I don't know what's gonna happen. But at the same time, maybe this is the best time to do it. Maybe this is the only time to really do it, and it just makes for great drama. And everything about that in this film is just fantastic. So there's my rant.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So basically, the setting goes with what I just said. Basically, it can just change change the way they're trying to be drastically just because of what's going on. All of a sudden they decide, hey, this might be the only chance I get. I need to not be so uptight.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. It really worked out well. I think there's so many ways that this was a really smart film, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So to combat that, who was the guy that she brought to the roller ring?
Michael?
Michael,
is that right?
Yeah.
What is Michael's character? What is Michael's relationship? I mean, they never really mentioned that.
Oh, okay. This is one of your criticisms, right?
Yeah. Because I mean, there's just this. I mean, she's clearly like playing up the whole "I'm a Valley girl," and I've got my Tommy here, do something about it.
Yeah.
I bet they didn't lead into it, but I it seems like maybe that guy just started hanging out with her at that particular event.
They seem to have somewhat of chemistry together. I mean, they came in together. They seem to know each other fairly well. I mean, I don't think it was somebody they had just met.
Well, but again,
I could see maybe like a relative. Maybe that's her cousin, brother, or somebody else from her slave house. I don't know. Men courted women in a different way back then. It was a different dynamic. That's true. Okay.
So I never really considered that. But I think that his sole purpose was to create contrast for Hop. It was like, Hop, you remember, he compares himself and says, so who is this guy, Michael? Who is he? Is he a boyfriend or what? He's trying to measure he's trying to see if he measures up, essentially.
He's basically like Steve Rogers.
And I think he knows he doesn't, just with what he sees and what he thinks, because he thinks she's a Gatsby girl. He thinks he doesn't measure up, but he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's still going to go for it. And it's trying to express that side of his character. That's what I think. So.
Okay. Yeah.
But I understand your point. Trust me.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got what was it? The drill scene where they're out in the field and they're pretending like there was a battle, and they got like the record.
No, but before that they went out drinking.
All right, they went out drinking.
Yeah, they went out drinking. That's when we got the nice perfect Cagey Cage out moments. The drinking moments are always great for the Cage.
Yeah.
They're just walking down the road and fuck them.
Yeah, man. And
that was when Cage is really pushing his whole agenda, where he's telling him, he's telling Hopper who he can score with and how he can score. You know?
Yeah, man. That's, you know what? I think I lost a good portion of my notes. So give me a second to get my laptop where I wrote this down, because I copied and pasted it, and I think I lost a lot of it. Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I copied and pasted over a bunch of scenes. So you guys are gonna have to help walk me through this here. So, yeah, okay. Remind me of the scene. So they're at the bar. Yeah, they're at the bar.
Yeah. So I feel so. We kind of jumped around on a couple of points that I had made in my notes, but
okay.
Most of them weren't really all that important. They were just kind of notes for me to remember the whole plot of the movie as we went through. So I skipped a bunch of them.
Yeah. Well, we got to go. Yeah, we just got to get to the. We got to get to that drill. So, just if you could fill in that part before that.
So basically, they were just out drinking, and like the drinking part was kind of short, but like, there was the clearly they were just trashed drunk.
Yeah. Oh
walking
yeah.
down the road, and Cage just still having his Cage out moments of just fuck him.
Oh.
Hop is trying to stop him, and he's like, man, you gotta chill out, man. Whenever you drink too much, your brain goes soft.
That's right.
You're just not thinking, man. I think that was when he had his wowie moment too.
Okay.
Yeah, that was his whole wowie.
Yeah. Right when he walked into that joint with the, I think right when we walked into the tattoo parlor, maybe.
Yeah.
Wowie.
Wowie. He was just remembering his wowie whistle from Valley Girl.
Yeah.
He was like, "This director's not as much fun."
Wonder if the weenie whistle on the Santa Claus is like a rip off of the Wally whistle, or vice versa.
I have here the original weenie whistle. Here's how you play it.
Why wasn't Nick Cage the Santa Claus?
I don't know. So then they're in the train or the tattoo parlor. Right?
Yeah, right. Let's talk about the tattoo parlor. What'd you think?
Man, that tattoo parlor that was rough, and I understand that the times have changed a lot since then, but the way that Nick went into this guy, I mean, so.
You mean like how aggressive he was about getting the tattoo?
Yeah, it's just how aggressive he was to this guy. And I understand there was the alcoholism, but again,
the dude knew he was drunk. Yeah.
And this was the only black guy I saw the entire film.
Okay.
Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah.
All right.
And
okay, spit it out. Why?
I just the comments that he made. Are you here for tattoos or advice, man? Get in the back of the bus. You can't charge me.
All right.
You wouldn't understand the bird of freedom. It was just really. I think maybe a bit of a metaphor for the times, perhaps, of what it is that they're out there saying that they're fighting for freedom. They're fighting for freedom, and to be able to have this drunken, almost brawl.
Okay.
With an African American about the concepts of freedom, and he's saying like, I'm not gonna do this. You guys are drunk. You guys are stupid. And he's like, you don't understand what freedom is. And he's like, listen here, son. You don't understand what you're doing.
Yeah. So you're saying you think there's some racial undertones in that scene. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think from a director standpoint, it was really interesting how they kind of did that. How this was the only black character in the entire movie was to make a point about the true concepts of freedom.
Okay.
And what it means to you as an individual fighting in the military.
All right. Wow. I never would have thought that, but it makes sense to me. It's something to consider. Yeah. And I think it's also important to note that our generation, I think, we don't think about like that's the only black guy in the movie. Because it just, I don't know. It's not a surprise to us, but maybe back then people were more prone to being aware of that. You know,
I think in the same sense, though, in this generation, I mean, it's not the fact of like, oh my God, there's a black guy on the TV, but to us nowadays, it's like, why is that the only one? You know, so it's a different type of perception, I would feel like. But
I just,
yeah.
you know, black or not, I don't trust a tattoo artist who isn't covered in tattoos himself.
That's true.
So, the other thing I want to say is in that scene, my God, did you see Nick's abs? Dude, hey, old boy's been working out for this movie.
He was built.
So I got to applaud him for that. I think he knew that eventually he was going to be in Ghost Rider. So he was getting a head start on getting that physique. So are we now at the drill scene?
So, well, the last thing after they left the tattoo parlor, they decided to go and race a train.
Oh,
drunk.
Gotta race the train, race to China.
Yeah, he's like, we gotta race the train. It's tradition, man. He's like, but we're drunk, man. We're gonna get hurt.
Man, this is one of the most important scenes. Yeah.
Yeah.
When they race the train.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I did forget one other key point from my notes on the tattoo artist. As they left,
freaking tattoo artist.
Cage said he's probably some kind of Nazi. Again, further.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work, but
So anyways, they head out to their train race, right? Where they're drunkenly trying to they stand there and they wait for the train to come at them, and then they jump out of the way, they run up alongside of it and try to grab a hold of one of the rails.
Yeah.
Just ride it for a while and jump off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the train is the war. The train is life. You know, the train is a symbol for this movie.
I thought that motherfucker Cage was dead. He was fucking dead.
I did too, actually. I thought it was going to be just this awkward end of him.
Oh.
We were going to be like, well, fuck.
I totally thought that Cage was going to die in this movie at the beginning.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so he's the, buddy guy who's all like, you think you can be a Marine? This is the one who's going to go to war and get fucking killed.
Yeah, his fucking, his emotions were too out of control. I thought there was no way he was going to make it.
Yeah.
And he probably goes on to die in the war.
Probably.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, right. They never made a sequel that I know of.
But it's during that train scene where Nicky reveals that Sally is pregnant and he knocked her up.
Yeah, it was like right after. I mean, they went from like laughing and having fun to like just straight depression. Where and afterwards they're just walking down and he's like, "Dude, what's wrong with you?" And he goes, "Sally's pregnant, man. Sally's pregnant." Like, Jesus Christ, Nicky! Jesus Christ, Nicky!
You didn't even use anything. I like when he said that. You don't even use anything,
You're just lucky, Hoppy. You did the same thing as me. You're just lucky, Hoppy.
Yeah, that was a pretty good scene. I mean, I gotta say, some of Nick's acting isn't bad in this film.
No.
Yeah.
His role in this film reminded me a lot of like, and I think it's safe to say by now we've talked about it enough, but I think this actor and the last and the actor of Rumble, or not actor, I'm sorry, this director and the director of Rumblefish, which was his uncle, I guess. But anyway, they both had a really. It was really smart to make him not make him the main star in the film because I think he works really well co-starring. I don't think he needs to be the main guy. It's okay. Well, you need a break from him.
Yeah,
for sure. You can't have Cage the whole time.
Right.
So I think that was pretty smart.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the directors or the casting people knew how to draw on his strengths. Here's what I really think happened, okay? Nick really wants to be the star at this point. This is my theory. He wants to be the Sean Penn. And that's probably what he auditioned as. But the thinking is, okay, you're not the Sean Penn yet, but you have these skills in your acting. You basically have these tools that we can utilize in the movie. And it's kind of like, if you do it well enough, if you exceed the expectations of what we're asking for you as a character, then you're going to upstage. You're going to upstage the lead. And if you do that, I think that's how you then get the like really high level, basically the main role. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's an opportunity to get the co-star role, because in that role you have the opportunity to upstage the main role.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he just he hasn't made it to that level, I think, yet.
Right, he's not the actor that they need. He's the actor that they deserve.
But I think he worked even way better in this movie, just because the role that he was given.
Okay.
With being a drunk and everything.
Yeah.
That it was so smart by the director. If they knew anything about him and how he
gets drunk.
Just flips out and just does really crazy shit because he's a drunk. I mean, it worked out really well.
Right.
I mean, it was pretty smart. If you're going to have him in the film.
It was believable.
Yeah. Right, I think I made a note somewhere of questioning whether or not he had started his drug habits at this point in his career or not.
The world.
I do feel like his role in Rumblefish kind of helped to prepare him for this a little bit, though. It seems like he dwelled a little bit on his character there, and I'm going to sicken myself for saying it, but improved upon it.
You can definitely see the improvement from Valley Girl to Rumblefish, and now to.
Well, remember, Rumblefish was actually recorded prior to Valley Girl, but
I keep forgetting that. Yeah.
I know it's odd.
Well, anyway, still there's definitely an improvement from the previous film.
Definitely.
Yeah, and whether that's all Nicky or the direction, who knows? But he did a really great job in this movie, I think, and it fit. Yeah. So where were we in our little?
So that was basically the end of that whole scene. We kind of fast forward to apparently the morning where he's hanging, where Hoppy is hanging out at the graveyard. You think that somebody died. I assumed at first that Nick died or somebody died that was important. Turns out it's just his dad's job. He just stopped by to see Dad at work.
Yeah.
I assumed it was didn't Hop and Cat. What was her name? Cat.
They were out. No, Hop and Nick were out last the night. That was the reason they were drinking. They made some comment about how somebody they knew. Yeah, somebody in the service had died.
Yeah,
I think it was. They were burying that morning.
I think it was one of their old buddies.
Yeah. But it was at this moment he's out there talking to his dad. His dad's like, early morning or late night? Oh, late night. I'm like, man, parents in the '80s were really chill.
Yeah.
Valley Girl parents and these parents just some really chill parents in the '80s.
Well, I mean, it was the '40s. It's supposed to be the '40s.
Well, yeah, but I mean, sure. Yeah,
right.
You're right.
Yeah. So are we at the drill yet? Are we at the damn drill?
So, I think he leaves that, and that's when they head over to the drill.
All right, the drill. They're all in the field, and they're the teachers, I guess, or I don't know who they are, but the adults are playing a record with war sounds, and they're supposed to act like it's a battle, and you have the nurses who are acting like they're giving medical attention to the soldiers, and you got Nick Cage on the stretcher grabbing women's asses, like I said. Go, oh. And that's after they change the record to the boogie woogie music, right?
Yeah.
And that's just a setup so that Sean Penn can find Elizabeth McGovern and have the fake blood on him and scare her.
No, the one thing that was interesting to me in this whole thing, and I don't know if this was a symptom of the time period as well, but you made a mention earlier, they enlisted. They chose to join the military. This wasn't like a draft kind of thing, from my understanding.
No, I think it was.
At this point, I'm sorry?
No, I think it was a draft. It was that...
Do you normally get drafted and, that, I don't know. I mean, I haven't lived through a draft, but is it like you just know 6 months in advance, like, oh yeah, we're gonna be, leaving to go to there, so I'm just gonna go ahead and quit school and, just get ready to go to war. That how it works?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I think at that time the way communication worked, they had a pretty fair heads up, and it seems like they did have the ability to choose what service they were going into. But son, you're going to war. You know what I mean?
yeah, maybe then. I kind of was more under the understanding that they had made the choice to go, but that would make a lot more sense if they were drafted. It was just, I guess it was never really well spelled out.
Yeah, maybe they could just choose what branch they were going in. It seemed like they could.
Right.
I mean, they seem to have some of the, they seem to have some, I don't know, affiliation to the branch that they were going into, and all the way up to some of the later points of picking fights with other branches and whatnot. So
No,
I guess I just
mean,
assumed they were more, I don't know, self-choice kind of thing.
But they weren't. But Nicky and Hop were not patriotic dudes, really. They just wanted to grow up like regular kids. So it was definitely compulsory.
I don't know. There were moments that tried to play them off as patriotic, as trying to do. And maybe it was just more of a symptom of the time, that doing your due diligence and doing what you needed to do, that kind of thing. And maybe that's just me misinterpreting that more as a choice to enlist instead of just needing to make do with it.
I just think when you're forced into doing something that you don't want to do or you're afraid to do, then you start to try to convince yourself. You try to justify it to yourself.
Yeah.
And
I guess I think that's the part that what really confused me then is the next scene. When old girl takes him.
Well, that's what I've been trying to get to for the last.
All right, sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead though. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, he goes and he meets her at the library, and joking around and covered in blood and acting like he's hurt and whatnot.
Yeah, he's in fake blood from the drill.
Yeah.
He looks injured and he frightens her. She's visibly shaken by this, but she's smart. And so what she does is she kind of like tricks him, I guess. She tricks him. Would you say tricks him? Or just leads him to see the wounded soldiers at the hospital, where he talks to a guy with a missing leg who gives Hop a kind of wake-up call about what's to come. This is war, really.
Yeah, I sobered up during this scene.
Yeah, it's an important scene, and again, some good acting. I forget what that actor's name is, but I swear I've seen him in other movies. But he was good.
Yeah, he did look familiar.
Yeah, was he the guy from? Oh my gosh, that he wasn't in a Tarantino movie, was he? I'm gonna look this up right now.
Yeah, I've got it up, and so a sec.
Well, maybe it wasn't.
Here it is.
You don't know.
Michael Madsen.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Michael Madsen. Yeah, of course. He just looked. He's younger. But it's funny because his character in the movie says, "Can you guess how old I am?" Because he's supposed to look older.
Yeah.
Yeah. Michael Madsen is awesome, and he was great in that scene as well.
That was one of his earlier films as well. I mean, he'd only started his career maybe a couple of years earlier.
Wow.
This was maybe his fourth or fifth appearance.
And then we get Nick Cage singing at the bowling alley. Tangerine. You remember that?
Yeah.
Tangerine. Dude, the guy
he has the best dance moves.
Dude, he couldn't carry a note if he had to go to war and get his dick blown off by the Nazis.
No, because it's the same as when he talks. You don't really want to hear it.
Yeah, in the dance, like you said. Yeah. Oh. So, Henry Hop, he agrees.
What? The boss. Why do I let you work here?
Yeah.
Because I'm the best, man. No, you're not. Oh. Jet.
Well,
Faster than me. I'm the best you got.
No, you're not.
Oh. Well, then, you got me, boss.
I guess I'm here. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I laughed at that too. Henry agrees to help Nicky get money for Sally's abortion. So then we get the scene where they try to con the sailors at the bar in a game of pool with Monopoly money, I think is what it was.
Something like that.
Yeah, some kind of fake game money. And that was a cool scene. I thought that was really cool. The whole thing.
Yeah, that was that whole like that whole thing. It was really intense. It was one of like the most intense scenes of the entire movie.
You're right. A great use of tension in that scene.
Yeah.
And then and man, when they mess it up and they got a GTFO out of there.
Well, that's the point I was getting at too. Is like they really just did. They seem to have it out for the Navies. The Navy guys.
Yeah.
And there's always been like a big contention between the Marines and the Navy. So like between that and coupled along with like his reaction from his girlfriend when she took him to see the injured soldiers and whatnot. Like that was really what made me believe that he was enlisting by choice. Because she's like, "You really sure you want to do this?" And he's like, "Listen, I was fucked up. Why did you do that to me? I've already committed to this. I'm already in this. And there are obvious contention between the Marines and the Navy, and like I don't know.
Yeah.
They were all things that seemed.
I think it was secondary. I think primarily there was a disconnect. There was a forced disconnect with Hop and the military. Like the military is the other. I am not the military, but there's this part of me that has to be, and so it's like you got to pick a side. So he's going to be a Marine, but what does that mean? He doesn't know because he's not a Marine yet. The whole thing is foreign to him. And then it's like you start to see what war is. You start to see the soldiers coming back in boxes or missing limbs, and he just denies that reality. It's denialism. And that's why I think they have no problem trying to swindle these sailors because they've written them off as kind of the enemy, the other guys. But eventually, they're going to have to join the ranks of somebody.
Damn, man, that pool game was so intense. Like, I almost started smoking again.
Yeah.
It was rough.
It was
From
rough.
what you just said, Reese, though, that just that makes it so much more. That makes it seem so much more clever of how they worked in the scene. With the wounded soldiers.
Okay. Good.
Because when they made the movie, they wanted that point of showing war, post-war, as the soldiers anyway, post-war.
Yeah.
The wounded soldiers. Them coming back, it was just, I thought that was a really clever way if they had to jump through that many hoops to get to that point again. You know what I'm saying? To show more of it.
Yeah.
For that point. Whatever. I just think that was really interesting.
Good.
So I did want to make one side note, a little bit more realistic, sombering political note. Please feel free to cut this out if it's too much.
Insert it. Okay, what?
What's really fucked up, okay?
Okay.
So this movie takes place in 1942.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And Nick is trying to afford an abortion for his girlfriend before he leaves for war. And right now, the state of Ohio is pushing to make abortions basically illegal.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a funny commentary on how far we've come in quotes in the last 70 or 35 years, depending on what your perspective is, whether you want to go by the film date or the perspective of the movie date.
Yeah, but to be fair, I think Ohio has pretty much always been trying to make abortion illegal.
Sure, yeah. Just,
all right, so Hop then decides to ask Caddy for the money to help him get the money together so Nicky can get the abortion for Sally.
After Nick basically threatened her.
Right. Yeah. Nick explodes on her, and then And then Hop tries to clean it up. Tries to settle things. And like, okay, look, you're rich, you got money. Like, could you think you should help us out? And then she feels guilty.
Yeah.
Which she then decides to steal a necklace from the Richie Rich house where her mom's a maid, gets caught, but then cries enough to convince, what's her name, to loan her the money.
Alice,
yeah.
who was introduced earlier just vaguely, and you'd have no idea who Alice is. She's just hanging out with this.
Well, I think
Alice.
there's enough context to know. So anyway,
yeah, sure.
All right, but
My
I get
question
you.
at this point is she the maid? But yeah.
Okay, all right. Then we get abortion clinic time.
Trailer park in the woods.
Uh-huh.
Thus proving that
Trailer
times
park in the
really
woods.
haven't changed that much.
and then it's kind of dark at that point. You know, afterwards, Sally is not looking well, and it looks like she's traumatized and sick, and they're very concerned for her. And you feel just kind of gross watching that. And then as they're driving off,
Like Nick always plays the dick characters lately.
yeah, oh yeah. But then we get the climax of the movie where Caddy finally explodes and reveals that she's not actually rich. And she's been putting this on just because she didn't want to disappoint Hop. And basically she breaks up with him. And that's a very important scene, very well acted. And right after that, Hop then breaks up his bromance with Nicky. But not for long.
Yeah, because Nicky makes everybody a dick.
Yeah,
Just like him.
But in that scene, it seems like Hop is able to get through to Nicky, and then
the whole breakup scene and everything. Like this was the first point, like because I think that's kind of critical too, is how well like Nick's character kind of bled off onto him.
Yeah.
This was the only point in time where he really lost his shit too.
Right.
Hops, he grabs her by the arm and is like really like throwing her around, like right after going through all this stuff and like trying to rise above, trying to be the better person.
You're right.
And then he's just like couldn't deal with it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. I didn't think about that either. Totally.
Well, it's like he built up all that aggression and needed to, and he was just very vulnerable in the moment to be taking it to get it out in a better way,
Another one of those undertones of like all of the stress of like realizing that there's just this constant counting clock. They're constantly mentioning the amount of time until he leaves.
Yeah.
It starts off that like it's only a few months away. I leave in a month. It's a few weeks from now. There's just this constant like reminder of how short that time is.
Right, and the train's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been a lot built up at once. It would have been crazy.
And it's also
and like going through that entire situation, and like wondering how it is you would respond to that and how it is you would deal with that.
Yeah. But this is the climax because this is when the characters have the biggest change. It's when I think Nicky realizes that the way he's living his life is destructive. It's hurting other people. And just like what you said about Hop. And that's what allows them to reconnect and become friends again. And then
maybe
it takes Hop kind of like confronting him and like fucking knocking him out and being like, dude, get your shit together. Because you're bleeding enough into me and I'm not going to deal with it anymore.
Right.
Because I don't want to be a dirtbag like you are.
Right. Yeah.
And it made Nicky realize, Jesus, like this guy and his girlfriend are going to be this loyal to me. Like, how can I, if they're that good of friends, how can I just make them ever do anything like that for me again? I owe them so much,
You didn't even walk her to the door, Nicky. You didn't even walk her. You didn't even open the door for her, man. She just had an abortion for you. You didn't even open the door for her.
That's right.
You didn't even open the door for her, Nicky. Girl just had an abortion. You can't even get out of the car and open the door for her.
That's right. Rusty James.
Rusty James.
And then Hop gets back with Caddy. It's kind of cute, and you feel relieved, like, oh, okay, they are gonna get together. And then you have that final fateful scene at the train station, where the war train takes off, and the boys are just standing there, and their parents are like, "You better go. You better get on the train, because, oh my God, they're going to come after you if you don't get on the train." And they're like, "Yeah, we chase trains, bitch." And then that rap song starts playing.
We got a train. We're gonna run, take a train. We're gonna jump on that train. We got a train. We're gonna run, take a train. We're gonna jump on that train.
You know how like most movies now they end with a rap song? You know how it's a good movie if it ends with a hip hop song. Like,
Oh, we got the train coming. We got a train. We're gonna run, chase a train. We're gonna jump on that train.
and then they run and they chase a train and jump on it, and then the movie's over.
I did really like Nick's bow tie in that last scene, though.
Oh, he had a bow tie.
Yeah, he had a nice bow tie. I want one.
I'm gonna have to look at that again. I like bow ties because I like bow tie pasta.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Racing with the Moon. Racing with the Moon. Did we see the moon in the movie?
No. So actually, the title was based on a song of the same name that was supposed to play during the ending of the movie.
But we got a rap song.
But they felt like it didn't fit, so they scrapped it.
So they just ripped him off for the title.
Yeah.
Do you think that rap part that I did is funny enough to keep in, or is it just stupid?
I think that you'll have a better judge of that whenever you go back and re-listen to it.
Kevin's already wasted, apparently.
Yeah, he already said I'm fucked.
The way I want to wrap this up is I just want your guys' final thoughts on the movie. I know we all liked it. Is there anything left to add about it?
All right, so honestly, like my opinion when it comes to how I actually liked the movie, honestly, like it didn't live up to Rumblefish for me.
Okay.
It was good. I think I liked it. I think I liked it better than Valley Girl. Sorry, Kevin Smith.
Oh my God.
But there was a lot of things that. And I don't know, through some of this discussion, like maybe I received a little bit of those feelings because I understand that there's a lot more like metaphorical stuff that I might not have grasped quite as well.
Okay.
I understood the surrealism a lot more of Rumblefish than I really understood the metaphors in this movie.
That's fair. Rumblefish is a good movie, so totally
yeah. And this one wasn't bad, and I think like there was really a lot of good acting on point, and I think if we're gonna really base this around Cage, as far as like my Cage impressions,
yeah,
I feel like his character was just his character in Rumblefish with more screen time.
Okay,
you know, with more of a role.
Yeah.
And I think that I think he did good, but I don't know. There were moments of him that were really on point. There were moments of him that were very distracting.
Okay.
I guess.
All right. Would you recommend this movie?
As an overall, I would recommend it. I think it's a good film. It's worth watching. I think that Rumblefish would be above this one in my books.
Okay, Kevin, how about you?
You're basically asking, do I like the film?
I'm asking, well, let me ask you more specifically. How do you think Cage did in this movie?
I think he did really well, but I think basically it was his role that it was like his playground, you know? It was basically how he, I don't know, I think they threw him in a role that they knew he would be perfect for, just because he would be able to do whatever he wanted to and act however he wanted, and outrageous because he drank all the time, for one thing.
Yeah. But this is a positive, though. You thought it worked. It ended up working well for the movie.
Yeah, and I don't think he had to try super hard. He just had to be cagey.
Yeah. All right. Very cool. Would you recommend this movie?
Absolutely. I really like this movie a lot.
All right. Great. So it looks like we will have some contenders for the best of the 5 Nick Cage films we watch this season.
Spoilers.
So Steve, can you inform us what the next movie is that we will be watching together? Insert that for me.
We're going to watch it together?
Well, not together. I mean, separately, but I guess we'll talk about it.
Separately but together?
Separately but together, yeah. I mean, we're talking surrealism here.
That's right. That's right. So, actually, the movie coming up after this is called The Cotton Club.
Oh. What's that about, Steve?
So, again, just the quick 2-sentence.
God, that sounds boring.
I fucking hate you.
The Cotton Club?
The Cotton Club was a famous nightclub in Harlem.
All right.
The story follows the people who visited the club, those who ran it, and is peppered with the jazz music that made it so famous. It is another Francis Ford Coppola movie.
All right.
Because, he wanted to make sure he got his stuff in.
All right. Well, at least we know it's probably going to be a good movie.
And we got some good big name actors again. Richard Gere, Diane Lane.
Richard Gere?
Richard Gere is the lead role.
Oh, wonder if his hair had color then.
I think so.
Man.
Who else is in this? Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins. Who else?
Yeah. Oh.
Is Nicolas Cage in it?
Nicolas Cage is in it.
Oh, thank God.
Why we're watching it. Yeah.
All right.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Now I'm super excited. This is just...
Wow. Him and Richard Gere. I can't even see the two in the same film.
I can't either. No, I can't either.
Hines.
This is totally trippendicular right now.
Yeah.
Totally trippendicular.
Awesome. So the next movie we'll be watching is The Cotton Club. The Cotton Club.
Yeah. Cotton Club. The Cotton Club.
All right. I'm super excited. Well, thank you everyone for listening to Late Night Cage Fight and joining us for this discussion of Racing with the Moon. We will catch you next time with our ultra review of The Cotton Club on Late Night Cage Fight. This is Reese, Steve, and Kevin signing off. Peace.
Peace.
You had to get that in there. Yeah. Yeah, Merry Christmas, you filthy animal.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Late night cage fight. Bye.